Hi my lovely charms, welcome back to Big Brain. Before we get started, I just want to thank each and every one of you lovely humans for subscribing, watching my videos, liking them, and also thank you so much for the engagement in the comments section. Just wanted to let you know that you can always share your thoughts in the comment section below. Feel free to share any thoughts and any ideas, and I promise I'll get back to you. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Today's topic is on study methods. So a lot of you guys are either in high school or college and you want to know some psychologically proven tips which will help you to ace any test or exam. Now, these tips may sound like easy work, but they're not. It's a form of active learning, which will require your utmost attention. And trust me, when you give your best shot at active learning, there is nothing in this world that's going to stop you from getting the results you always wanted, besides from a lack of sleep and a proper diet. There's a quote by Benjamin Franklin which goes, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn." Point number 1. Change your learning method. Reading, highlighting, re-listening to lectures, and purely rewriting is a form of passive learning. It's comfortable and it's real cheeky because when you finish your study session, you actually feel like you studied, but you didn't. Every time you saw those words or equations, your brain is only recognizing the material. It's not learning or relearning it. So what do you do then? That brings us to the second point. You need to do active learning. Now what's that? Well, you're basically learning something with full focus and your brain can't snooze off while you're actively learning. Using flashcards, quizzing yourself, drawing a mind map from memory, and then checking the answers, teaching someone what you have learned, and using memory hacks with mnemonics are all forms of active learning. It's important to know that active learning can be quite tiring, but it's the most useful, so take some breaks after 25 to 30 minutes, only if you're not in the flow state. Now what's the flow state? It's a mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus. And if you're in the flow state, then there's really no need to take a break. But if you're not in the flow state, then the maximum time of focused study is 1 hour. So after that 1 hour is finished, please take a break for the sake of your memory. One more thing, if you rewrite while actively learning, it can aid in motor memory. It's actually a thing, guys. It's like every time you put the password in to unlock your phone. It's all motor memory. Take these words for example. I'm giving you 20 seconds to remember them all in order. And please don't cheat because you'll be cheating yourself. Time's up. Well, that was unexpected, right? Well, we needed some real results. That's why I thought, why don't you guys test your memory out first before we proceed? Like most people, you would have done maintenance rehearsal, where you repeated the words over and over again to remember them. Others might have used elaborative rehearsal by linking the words with your memory. Some might have used chunking, where you broke the words in pairs or a group of 3 and remembered them that way. With this, you might have even looked for some rhythm which might help you to remember. The clever ones used something called narrative chaining, where you put the words into a story. Example, one day there was a storm. It was bright red for some reason. All of a sudden, a sparrow flew past you and it reminded you of Spain, when you were playing a guitar and a waiter walked past you and accidentally dropped a glass of wine in your bag. You looked down and you saw your revision book covered with wine. Instead of getting angry, you give a smile and you walk away. Just then, you fall down and faceplant into a pile of poo. The more strange and weird the story was made, the more you remembered. Some people use a very powerful technique called the mind palace. Now, personally, I use this technique as well, And trust me guys, it has helped me so much.
Perfectly all right.
But maybe it's not a drug.
No, it has to be a drug. How did it get into our systems? How? There must be something buried deep. Get out.
What?
Get out. I need to go to my mind palace.
The what?
He's not going to be doing much talking for a while. We may as well go.
His what?
Oh, his mind palace. It's a memory technique, a sort of mental map. You plot a map with a location. It doesn't have to be a real place, and then you deposit memories there. Theoretically, you can never forget anything. All you have to do is find your way back to it.
So this imaginary location could be anything, a house or a street?
Yeah.
This is a palace. He said it was a palace.
Yeah, well, he would, wouldn't he?
You ain't nothing. Hound.
The Mind Palace is a technique where you place items which need to be remembered in a very familiar place, and that could be anything, and there can also be more than one place. Places include your home, your workplace, your school, and even your street if you remember it really well.
Memory is far more capable than most people realize. I've been in this room once before, but when I was in here, I paid attention. Very close attention. Oh, thank you. Please, but that's just Memory 101. Let's move forward into the advanced coursework. For memory to be useful, it has to be as accurate and as fast as it can. Long before we stuffed our knowledge into graphs and charts, we used older and, in some cases, more entertaining ways to remember things. How are we doing there, Paul?
I think we're good.
Excellent. Please, take a seat. Now, I'd like to show you what I'm talking about. Lisbon, would you mind? Thank you. We can create a memory by building a palace in our minds. We can sing ourselves a song or tell ourselves a little story. A story of a bully, a gray fox, and a little brave man, a rat, that stood up for his chubby little buddy, the toad, and his friend, Egghead. The story of a man in a tuxedo who snaked his way through a crowd to meet a woman in a colorful dress. Penguin, cobra, 3 squirrels, and a parrot. The story of flight. And
Imagine yourself walking now. Items placed must be continuous according to that specific place. So here's an example. As you walk and you look around your mind palace, you see the word storm in your parents' room. The color red is the whole kitchen is covered with the color red. For the word sparrow, there's a sparrow on the frying pan. For the word Spain, there's a map on your plate which includes Spain. For the word guitar, there's a guitar on your dining table. For the word glass, there's a glass on the chair. For the word bag, there's a bag on the floor. For the word book, there's a book in the sink. And for the word smile, well, you're the one smiling. For the word pile, there's a pile on the water tap, and you find that the pile is a pile of poo. You can always Google or search up the terms I've mentioned here if you want more details. I have also left some links in the description below if you want to get started. By the way, active learning is best for remembering words and numbers. For subjects like math, you can use chunking. If anything, when it comes to math, you need to be creative. When I was a little kid, I used to, and I still do actually, imagine these numbers moving around as I solve the equation. So I imagine one of the numbers move from one side of the equation to the other side. So imagining, for example, the number 5 moving across the equal sign, so it becomes a -5. There are also a lot of people who use dirty stories to, make them remember all the stuff. And also that's fine as well, because the more crazier the story, the better it is. And when it comes to stories, I feel like that works the most with English-based subjects, so history and obviously English, geography, anything that includes a lot of words. When it comes to math, you have to visualize what you're doing, and that helps a lot of people. It's helped me, and I know it helps a lot of my friends as well, because I've actually asked a lot of them and they said it helps them as well. So if you're stuck in any of the math equations, just imagine the numbers moving around. For example, 2 plus 3 is x times y. And so you can see that x is timed with y. So the y has to go across the equal sign and under the 2 plus 3. And that gives us the x. This is not so mathematically explained, but I'm just trying to show you what it would look like if you were imagining the numbers moving around while you solved the equation. If you have any questions related to this, then just leave a comment and I promise I'll get back to you. Now that you've learned a way to remember, what do you do so that you don't forget the information? Have a good look at this. Do you know what this is? Well, obviously it has the heading, but do you know what it's saying? Do you know what it's telling you? This graph is telling you that if you don't revise after a certain period of time, you gradually start forgetting. And we don't want this. They say you forget like 60% of the information by the end of the day. So you have to revise to keep that information in your head. And the more you revise, the more you remember. Ebbinghaus, who created this, discovered that information is easier to recall when it's built upon things you already know. Every time you reinforce the training, the rate of memory decline reduces. The testing effect says that by simply testing a person's memory, that memory will become stronger. Staging frequent revision sessions will help solidify the information through active recall. As you can see in the graph, by the end of that day, you have forgotten about 60% of the information you've learned. So you have to, well, you need to, you don't have to, but if you want to ace an exam, then you need to revise the information again tomorrow. The more you revise, the less you forget and the more you remember, because by this time the information is slowly, gradually starting to enter your long-term memory. As you can see, every time you revise, there's a spike that goes up and you're recalling about 100% of the information. So 100% of the information is being retained every time you go back and revise the information. And this is all for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, share it with your friends and family, and also share your thoughts in the comment section. And until then, keep that brain of yours healthy.